Okay, so let me see which PPT it was. Maybe it's part 2, maybe. Let me check out, hang on. Okay. Okay, some of the things are missed in the PPT, so let's cover those points before I proceed further. But as usual, okay, as always, okay, let's have a first recap as to what we have discussed the last class. Okay, let's have a quick recap. This is the last class was on, it was on Friday if it's in India, or Saturday, 11:24. Okay, so let's have a recap of 11:24. If you're in US, it will be 23rd. Okay, so yes, guys, go ahead and let me know anything that you could remember from the last class as to what we have discussed. Okay, so what is that you know from the last, or you remember from the last class? Anything that you could remember from the last class? What is that we have discussed? Okay, so first we have discussed about the importance of log. Okay, where can we control what kind of log we wanted? Where can we control what kind of log we wanted in the output replay log? From where do we control it, guys? From the RTS. Okay, so when we are debugging the scripts, or at least when you're playing around with the scripts in the VGen, what is the recommended setting in the RTS for the log? What is the recommended setting for the log in the RTS? When we wanted to debug, or there is an issue and you wanted to troubleshoot the issue, or get rid of the issue, what is the recommended log? Okay, extended log. Wonderful. So in the extended log, where exactly you would go, and what is that you would switch on? What is that you would actually switch it on in the extended log? Wonderful, Sumati. Data returned by the server. Okay, and also along with that, and I'll say along with that, parameter substitution. Okay, so these two things are extremely important. You wanted to figure out any issue. Along with that, there is one place there is one other place you would go to, which is a snapshot view. Okay, it will give you a ballpark idea as to what is the issue, and then the extended log with the data written by the server and the parameter substitution. Okay, these are the two things that you really need to do when you bumped into an issue. Okay, the issues which you face in while executing, there are two kinds of issues. First is issues with your script. Okay, or in other words, syntax issues. Okay, syntax issues. Okay, so second one is, okay, issues, okay, I would say issues with your scripting. Okay, so this is issues related to data or others. Okay, so this one you can only see if you see the data returned by the server. Okay, so syntax issues typically you would know based on the error. Okay, you copy that error, put it in the Google, and you will get a ballpark idea whether you have typed something wrong or you have inserted something wrong. And for everything else, you have to look at the data written by the server. Okay, then we were started looking into inserting the transactions. Okay, inserting the transactions, and I purposefully created a lot of issues or problems in the script. Okay, and resolving one by one, resolving one issue by another issue and taking care of it. So what is that LR function or the LR API for starting the transaction? Let me see how many of you remember that. You can unmute yourself and you can speak as well. Okay, I want to hear from everybody, guys. It's not, the questions is not just for Sumati. Okay, LR start transaction. Okay, syntax is pretty simple. You just put the transaction name inside the double quotes, whatever you think. Okay, whatever think is appropriate, put it inside the transaction. Okay, and then the LR end transaction. Okay, wonderful, Shiva. Okay, so, and what is the syntax here? How many arguments you would have in the LR end transaction? Is this right? Is this right? Can somebody tell me, is this right? Okay, wonderful. 2 arguments. Okay, you can unmute yourself and you can speak if you wanted to. Okay, there are 2 arguments. One is the transaction name, which should go in the double quotes, and the second one is, what? And the second one is what? The status. Okay, the status. So when we are talking about the status, the standard one which people use is LR underscore auto. Okay, which means that you're having the load runner to decide if the transaction is a pass or fail. But at some point of time in my course, you would see something called LR pass and LR fail as well. But that is not for today. At some point when we do something called error handling, we'll definitely discuss about these 2 things as well. Okay. So this is where we were, and we were discussing about certain things. So let me pull out the class or the running notes from my previous class, okay, to exactly understand where we are. Okay, so, and there were some points in that which I really wanted you to know. So let me pull out that class notes. Where were we? Okay, just give me a moment. This is where it is. Okay, so let me try to open that in a Notepad++. I'm very comfortable with Notepad++. Okay, yeah. This is where discussing, we were concluding some errors. My compiler will catch it and then I can figure out the error. I mean, while executing itself, while compiling itself, my compiler will catch it. Okay, there are some errors where, well, when my compiler will not catch it. So you will have to figure it out only after the execution. You would know about the errors. There are some errors while compiling itself, you would know it. And there will be some errors only after compiling, we would know it. So we have seen both of them. Okay, we have seen both of them. Let's have a quick recap on that as well. I think it was my second script or something like that that we were working. So cancel flight, script 3, correlation challenge. I just wanted to know where did that script go. Okay. So hang on, guys. Let me see where is that script. So this is the problem, like, you just let it go. I should have completed it on the same day. Otherwise, we get into a lot of issues like this. Most likely, it should be over here in the same folder under scripts. Okay. Where is this? Is the scripts? I think it's my second script. Yeah. It's either it could be booking flights or my second scripts. Let me look at the date stamp. This is 11/16 and this is 11/24. So this seems to be the latest one. So most likely this should be the script that I'm referring to. Okay, so let me quickly give a recap as to what is the first one. My compiler will catch it. As soon as I compile it, the error will be caught. So instead of capital N, small n, let me put a capital N. Okay, now I'll compile this. Okay, since this is a syntax error, oh, it didn't catch that one. Oh, nice. Okay, so it was supposed to. Let me see. What is that error that I have actually purposefully created so that it will catch it? Hang on, guys. So I wanted to create one. Okay, so this one is not caught. Okay, but let me take away the double quotes. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So you see, if you have some syntax errors like that, if you put the double quotes and now you compile it, you put the double quotes and now you compile it. Yeah, it's taking care of it. But you know this piece of code is also wrong. But my compiler is not able to identify it. Okay. But once you start executing this, once you start executing it, definitely my compiler will catch it. Okay. Let me start the server first. Okay. Once I start executing it, it's not my compiler, but my region. You know, it will be able to catch it. Okay. Let me run this. Let me run this. Okay. Now you see, while compiling, you know, the error didn't even, you know, it didn't even identified by my compiler. But now you execute it, it's clearly saying that it's a C interpreted runtime error, unresolved symbol, LR start transaction. Okay, so right away you know that there is an issue over here. Okay, so now if I go ahead, I fix it, and if I go ahead and execute it, it's all good now. So let it take its own sweet time to execute. Actually, this has nothing to do with my script because it is going and hitting some other server, as you can see here. Okay, but it's taking a little bit of time, so I would just let it go. So let it execute. Okay, the script is passed. Okay, so you see some of them, you know, while compiling itself, you would know it, so you will go ahead and fix it. But some of them, you know, while compiling, you wouldn't know it. You go ahead and execute it, and then you will be able to fix it. But whatever it is, there are some issues while scripting. This is all syntax errors. This is all syntax errors. But there will be some errors which could be related to data, as I mentioned here. There could be some issues which it could be related to data or something else. And this one you will be able to only figure out if you switch this one on, data returned by the server. But syntax errors, some of them the compiler will catch it, some of them the compiler will not. But the compiler, if compiler catches it, as soon as you compile it, you would know it and you will fix it. And some of them while executing, you would know it. Okay, and you will be able to fix it. But these syntax errors, for these syntax errors, data returned by the server will not help you in any which way. Okay, the data returned by the server will not help you. Anyways, okay, so let's proceed further. Okay, so there is, and on that day when we were discussing, you know, we came to these conclusions, couple of conclusions. So there was one more conclusion which I was about to make. Okay, we'll see what it is. Okay, now watch carefully, guys. Watch carefully. So here for the launch, this is the launch piece of code. Okay, this whole thing is a launch piece of code. Okay, at least with my comments, and exactly I've figured out what is that launch piece of code by executing it. In the runtime viewer, I know that when I've sent the request for this, I got the response, and this is the exact piece of code for which, you know, my server has returned the launch. So I've put the launch transaction, start transaction here and end transaction here. It's all is good. So this is going and hitting completely a different server. If you see, this is going and hitting my server, which is 127.0.1.1080. Okay, sometimes from here the request will be redirected to some other servers, and that point of time you would get some request which is not related to the servers. But here it is completely different thing. You know, it has nothing to do with my application, and I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with my application, so I'll go ahead and delete it. But sometimes, even though it is going and hitting some other servers, your request, you know, you can't be 100% sure because the programmer would redirect your request to somewhere else. So you got to be careful when you're deleting it. Okay, you got to be careful when you're deleting a request. Okay, anyways, now you look at this login piece of code. Okay, let me take this to the plain layout so that I have a better look at the script. Okay, now you see this is a login piece of code. Okay, I have put the headers as, I've put the comments as login. So obviously this whole thing is a login piece of code. So what I've done is I've put a start transaction over here and I've put an end transaction over here. Okay, now watch carefully, guys, watch carefully. I'll do two things now. Okay, and let me know the difference. So what are the two things that I will do now? Okay, what are the two things that I will do now? Okay, replay the script with think time. Okay, and then replay. Okay, first I would say without think time. Okay, without think time, and second one is replay the script with think time. Okay, there's two things that I'm going to do. Okay, replay the scripts without think time and replay the scripts with think time on the VUGen. Obviously, we didn't even go to the control edit. This is all happening on the VUGen. Okay, now tell me, if you want to replay the script without think time, Where would I, how can I do it? How can I do it? If I don't want it, the think time to be replayed while playing back the scripts, where will I go and make these changes? Okay. There's only two people who are responding. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So first let me change the layout. In the plain layout, I'm not able to see the runtime settings or the solution explorer. So let me go to the default layout. Now I have the solution explorer. Okay. Now go to the runtime settings. Okay, there are multiple runtime settings. I would want to go to the think time and you say ignore think time. Okay, by default it will be ignored, so I'll leave it as ignore. Now I will be able to replay the think time without, I would be able to replay the script without the think time. Why? Because in here clearly I'm saying ignore think time. Whatever it is, in the script it is 10, 20, 30, whatever it is, let's ignore it. Let's go back and replay the script. Wonderful. The script has been replayed. The script has been replayed. Okay. Now I wanted to see the transaction response times for each of them. Okay. If you pay attention, I have multiple transactions. One is launch transaction. Okay. One is login transaction. And if I go to booking flights, again there are click on flight transaction. Like this, there are multiple transactions, appropriate option transactions. So there's so many transactions which I have defined in the scripts. Now I wanted to look at the response times of each one of them. So where will I go and see it, guys? Where will I go and see it, or how will I go and see it? Where will I go and see it? All this. Where can I go and see the transaction response times? I want everybody to answer. At least give an attempt. Okay, in the logs, as you said, you will be able to look it up from the output replay log. From the output replay log. Okay, you see in the output replay log clearly it is saying that on line number 23 the launch transaction has started and it will do what all it is required. Okay, and then exactly at line number 35. So on line number 25 you have the request. So you have some log which is related to the request. You need not have to understand each line. Okay, as long as you know that this is the log which is related to your request, it's fine. And then in line number 35, if you double click, you will even see that. Okay, you see line number 35. Your line number 35, you are ending the transaction, and this time around it seems to be a past transaction. And how much time it has taken? How much time it has taken? 0.16. Okay, so let's note that for the launch transaction, what is the time? 0.16. Okay, 0.16 seconds. Now for the login transaction, again double click on it. You see this is where you have started the transaction on line number 48. That's what is quite evident over here, and it has added some headers and all that. Okay, from beverage fines and all that. Okay, and finally, okay, so Shraddha has a question on wasted time. So let me put that over here. Even in the last class, this question was asked. So okay, so all this all this has happened, and finally at line number 77 you have ended the transaction. That's exactly what it is notifying here. Okay, it happened with the past transaction. And what is the response times, guys? What is the response times? It is login transaction. What is the response times? It is 0.0936. 0.0936. Wonderful. Okay, so like this you can look at the response times for click on flight as well. How would I do it? I'll do it this time around in a different way. I'll click on this and I'll say right click on this and go to the step in the replay log. It will directly go to that step, and you see how much it is? 0.1292. Okay, what is this transaction here? Click on flights transaction. Okay, and how much it is? 0.1292 seconds. But whatever you see over here, it's all seconds, guys. This could be your interview question as well. Okay, 0.6. And again, there is appropriate options here. Okay, let me see where I have ended. I have ended it over here. Right click on it, go to the steps in the replay log. Go to the step in the replay log. Okay, so you see appropriate option. It has 0.09. 0.09. Okay. Okay, this transaction has 0.09. Okay, so these are the transactions, and this is the replay the script without think time. Okay, replay the script without think time. Now what I will do, I would want it to replay the script with the think time, and let's see what is the difference. Okay, let's see what. Let's say replay it with as recorded. Okay, I'll say as recorded. Okay, now you are playing back with the think time as recorded. Okay, as recorded. Now, okay, let me go ahead and execute it. If you pay a little bit of attention, what has happened here, after the launch transaction has ended, it is waiting for the think time of 10 seconds. Wonderful. Okay, now you see, pay attention what has happened here. Okay, let me pause the script here. Okay, so you see what has happened. It has started the login transaction, then it is waiting for 10 seconds. Then it is waiting for 10 seconds. Okay, I just want you to know about it. It has started the transaction, your time started ticking, it started calculating as to what is the time which is taking for the login, and then it has waited for the think time. Okay, the think time for 10 seconds. Same thing is happening with this booking flight as well. It has started the transaction and then it is waiting for the 10 seconds. Okay. But here what is happening? It has, before you start the appropriate options transaction, it is waiting for the 10 seconds. Okay. I want you to notice that. Okay. It will wait unnecessarily for 46 seconds here. I should have changed this too. But anyways, I'll stop it here because I've captured all the response times that is required for all the 4 of them. Okay. Now let's look at the transaction response times for each one of them. Okay. For launch, let me see what it is. Okay. Launch, it is 0.165, 168. Okay. So let's compare both of them, guys. Let's compare both of them. Okay. So this is before execution. This is without think time. And with think time, let's see what it is. 0.1685. Okay, seconds. So let me take away the next 2 digits. It's not required. Okay, so it's 0.16, 0.16. The login seems to be same with the think time or without think time. It's almost same. Okay. Why I said almost is, after 0.16, I haven't noted down what it is over here. There will be a minor change from execution to execution. Okay. Okay. Now let's see what it is for login. Okay. So login ended with a pass. How much time it has taken? 25 seconds. Okay. 25 seconds. Okay. How much time it has taken? 25 seconds. Okay, let me take away that. Okay, and for click on flights option, let's see how much time it has taken. Okay, this is what click on flights. Okay, click on flights, it is 10.13. Okay, and finally click on appropriate options, 0.73. This is all seconds. Everything will be in seconds, guys. Everything will be in seconds. Okay. Now, can you tell me what are those 2 transactions wherein the variation is way high? This is for think time. This is without think time. Okay. This is without think time. Okay. And this is with the think time. Okay. Without think time. The first one is without think time and this is with think time. Now you see which are those 2 transactions wherein the variations are too high. Can you please tell me? Okay, so login transaction, the variation is high because without think time it is hardly 0.1 seconds, but with think time it became 25 seconds. It's way too high. And what is the second one where the variation is really high? Okay, click on flights button. Without think time it is hardly 0.12 and this is 10.13. Okay, so any idea as to why the variation is so high? There will be variation because you see appropriate options, there is variation, but variation is way too less. This is 0.093 and this is 0.087. Okay, the variation is very less. Okay, and that variation is expected, guys. All the time you will not get the same exact accurate response times all the time. The variation will be like less than 5%. But here the variation is way too much. The variation is way too much. Variation is way too much. Is this right or what is going on? Any idea as to what is going on, or did we do any Anything in the script that because of which it is causing this problem? Anything that you can think of, guys? Wonderful, wonderful, Shraddha. If you pay attention for these two transactions, my problem is these two transactions, login and click on flight transaction. Okay, so let me see what has happened actually in the scripting front for the login transaction. What are Okay, let me go to it. So the variation is high in the login transaction. Let's pay a little bit of attention to the script as to what has happened. Okay, so you have started the transaction called login. You have started the transaction called login. Then what? Then after the start transaction is done, since you played back the think time, it has played back 10 seconds of think time. Okay, so after the start transaction, you're playing back the think time. So login is not only calculating how much time it is taking for logging in, but it is also calculating the think time. So it is now the login transaction. What you're calculating is not the time that is taking for login, which is for this request, but it's also including the think time. So this 23 seconds that you're calculating is both inclusive of the think time as well as the time that is taken for login, which is totally inaccurate. Okay, so this think time should be never part of the transaction. And also the same thing you're doing in the click on flight buttons as well. Okay, so when you go to this click on flight buttons, you have started the transaction and then you have a think time of 10 seconds, and then this is the request for click on flights transaction, click on flight button transaction. So it is calculating two things. One is the 10 seconds of think time which it has to wait here, and also the exact time which has taken for click on flight button. So that's not what click on flight button should do. It should calculate only the response times of click on flight button. It should not calculate the response times of think time as well. So this is totally inaccurate. Now you got the point, guys? Now you got the point? Okay. So it is not only calculating, because you see this is where it is start and this is where it is end. So it will calculate what all is there wrapped under it. Okay. You're not only wrapping the click on flight request, but also the think time. So it will calculate the time it has waited over here and also here. So this is totally unfair. Okay, this is not what it should be. So what should actually happen is this think time should be always outside of the transaction. Okay, outside of the transaction. Similarly, the login piece of code should work the same way. Okay, the think time, either you move the start transaction below it or you move the think time above it. Okay. So this is what is accurate. Actually, this is what is supposed to happen. Okay, this is what is supposed to happen. Okay, are we okay, guys? Are we okay? Are we okay? Are you getting the point as to why this variation? This variation is not acceptable. This is way too much of variation, and clearly you know that the think time has something to do with it. But unfortunately, it's not the runtime settings which is the problem, but the way you created the script. If you're playing back with the ignored time, obviously it is not considering it, so it is giving you the accurate think time. But when you play back with the think time, which you will do in the real world, when it gets to the controller, so it will also play back the think time. So that's when all your scripting will go wrong. So your think time should be outside the transaction, not inside the transaction. Okay, so this is what accurately it should be done. Are we clear, guys? All of you, are we clear? Okay. This is very, very important. Somebody who's new to performance testing, this is the basic mistake people will do. Okay, this is the basic mistake that people will do. Okay, one of the basic mistakes a lot of people would do. Okay, at the starting of their careers. Okay, okay. Are we all on the same page here as to where should be your start transaction and how should be your think time? Okay, so once the script is created and once you have the start and end transactions, the first thing that you look for is the think time, guys. Where is the think time? Where is the think time? Okay, now you see with the think time I will play back and see what happens. Okay, now you see I'm replaying back the think time as recorded. Okay, now I'll change the others as well. Either here it is 40, so let me change it to 10 seconds here. Okay, everywhere else I change it to 10 seconds. Okay, and log out. Okay, now I'll play back the script. Okay, it is waiting for 10 seconds, which it should, but by that time the login transaction has not started. Okay, You see the login transaction is starting over here. So it is waiting for 10 seconds over here, and then it will go ahead and start the transaction, and then it will go ahead and execute this piece of code, and it will end the transaction. Okay, and capture the response times for login. Okay, so let it execute, then I'll get the transaction response times for all of them, and now I will go ahead and compare. Okay, I'll also execute this transaction as well, appropriate options, then I will stop the transaction. I'll stop the script. Yeah, so let me stop the script now. Ideally you should not, but my line of interest is done. So you see now this is the login transaction. How much is the response times? 0.09. Okay, so this is the login transaction. Now with the think time itself you are doing, okay, 0.09. Okay, so this is with the think time only. Okay, again with the think time only. Okay, how much it is? 0.0916, which is very close to what it was without the think time. So now you have created the scripts accurately. And however, we don't have issues with these transactions, so I'll not compare that. I'll compare only these two actions for which we had issues. Okay, click on flight. How much is it? 0.128. Okay, which is very close to what it was before, very close to what it was without think time as well. You see, so there was some issues in the script because of which it was reading high response times, and that issues was because you have wrapped the think time and you have wrapped the transactions around the think time. So it was not only calculating the response times for that particular transaction, but it was also including the think time, because of which it was reading inaccurate response times. Now that you have fixed the script, it is showing the same accurate response times. Okay, accurate response times. Okay, so whenever you're seeing the transaction response times readings are really high, okay, transaction response times readings are really high, see if the think time is wrapped inside the transactions. See if the think time is wrapped inside the transactions. Okay, so if the think time is wrapped inside the transactions, which means that it's something like this. Okay, if it is something like this, then definitely you have to go ahead and fix the issues. Definitely we have to go ahead and fix the issues. Okay, are we clear so far, guys? Are we clear so far, all of you? Spend like half an hour on this. So definitely, like, this is a very, very important concept. Okay, and a simple silly mistake every performance tester would do. Okay, so all of you guys, everybody following? Okay, so some people having some issues like joining and then all that. Please let me know if you have any issues, guys. Is it from my end or your end? I wanted to figure out, because a lot of people who are logging out, logging in, logging out, logging in. So I wanted to see what is the issue. Can somebody please tell me if there is any issue with the connection from my end? Because a lot of logging in, logging out is happening. So guys, are you facing any issue? Okay. Okay. So Rupa, yesterday we have looked at your response times, right? Can you, I mean, as I'm speaking, that's the first thing which came to my mind. I don't know if there are any response times which is lesser, and you are replaying back to the think time of 3 seconds, and for most of your scripts, the response times were 6 seconds and 8 seconds, right? Please check if the think time is inside the transaction, Rupa.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe you should check. I mean, that's the thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Just quickly have a look at. I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check.
Have a look at the script and see if the think time is wrapped inside the transaction. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Anyways, coming back to the topic. Okay. So as I'm explaining this, there are two things which I wanted to cover. Okay. One is our Shraddha has asked a question: what is waste time, and what is the appropriate setting for think time? Okay, in RTS. These are the two things I wanted to cover. Okay, so what is the appropriate setting for think time in the RTS, and what is wasted time? So we'll cover these two things. Okay, so first we'll go with the wasted time. Okay, as you're looking in the log, for every single transaction, you will see two things. Okay, so for example, we'll look at the login. Okay, how fast the application is, really fast. How fast the logging is happening, really fast. 0.5 seconds itself is like lightning fast. Imagine what it is, 0.0916. Hardly it is taking any time to log in. Server is extremely fast. So wonderful. But there is something called wasted time as well. Okay, what is this wasted time? Okay, what is this wasted time? Let's try to understand that. Okay. Okay, so for the VueGen, it needs to understand this request. Okay, process it and send this request to the server. Okay, this is the piece of code for which the VueGen takes some time to, like, put it and then send it to the server. And also for this whole thing, you see line number 65, right? Yeah, it has to generate the log. You see, it has to generate this log. Okay, so it has to generate this log as well. It will take some time for VueGen to generate that log. Okay, the VueGen itself, sending the request, server is taking some time, sending the response back, it is capturing all of that. But VueGen itself is taking some time to do all that and generate this log. So whatever the time that VueGen itself is taking that time, that is the wasted time. Okay, what is that ideally that you have to capture, guys? What is that ideally you have to capture? Only the response. I mean, okay, let me pull up the toolbar here. Okay, hang on, guys. Drawing tools. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let me take that. Okay, so guys, I'll use this space over here. Okay, so here is the request. Sorry, here is the client and here is the server. Okay, now from the client you're sending the request, server is sending the response back. You're trying to capture only the response times for that. Right from the time the client has sent the request and the server is processing the request and send the response back and send the response. You wanted to capture only this strip. Okay, and that's what we are calling it as the response times. Okay, the transaction response times for the login. So let's say this request is for the login. Okay, from the client here is the VueGen, guys. Okay, the client here is the VueGen. From the VueGen, I'm sending this request, okay, which is for the login. The server will process the request, send the response back, and for all of that, it has taken only 0.0916 seconds. Okay, but the VueGen, this is what ideally it should. It should only capture the response times from the time it has left the VueGen and by the time it has reached the VueGen, what is the time that it has taken. But the VueGen itself is taking some time inside. Once you get the response back, the VueGen has to generate this log. The VueGen itself is taking some time as well. Okay, the VueGen itself is taking some time as well, and that time is nothing but the wasted time. I don't care what the VueGen is taking to create this log and all that, because that's not line of my interest. That's not my interest. Okay. Once the request has left the VueGen and the response has reached the VueGen, whatever the time that it has taken, that I wanted to capture as the transaction response times. Okay, but the VueGen, once the response is captured, the VueGen itself is taking some time to generate this log. That's what is the wasted time, guys. That's what is the wasted time. And honestly, as a performance tester, you really don't want this wasted time to be captured as a part of the response times. You really don't want this wasted time to be captured. Okay, really don't want that one. Okay, to be captured. But okay, now you tell me, do you think the VueGen, this one, 0.0196, it's inclusive of this wasted time, or it's excluding this wasted time and giving it to you? So what do you think, guys? Okay, this 0.0196, okay, it's inclusive of this wasted time, which means that 0.0078, it's also including that, or it's exclusive of this? Is it including or excluding? Ideally, you don't want this wasted time to be calculated as a part of this response time. Okay, but VueGen is including it or excluding it? What do you think? I want answer from all of you guys. There's only two choices, including or excluding. Okay, but I want everybody to participate. Just think about it and let me know. Okay, ideally, we don't want that. We don't want whatever the VueGen is taking to create the log and all that. I don't even care. I just wanted to see how much time it is taking for the logging. Okay. And the time taken for the VueGen to log this and all that, whatever it has to do, it is considered as a wasted time, and it is 0.0078. Okay, so whatever the response times that we are capturing, which is 0.0916, it's inclusive of it or excluding of it. Inclusive means it's including. Excluding means, it's not considering it. That, so what it is, either you have two options, including or exclusive, because it's a definite interview question. I mean, some people will ask this, and actually, honestly, it was asked, not a regular interview question, but somebody, they wanted to know if you have really worked. They might ask you this, because if you have really worked on PT, you are supposed to know this. I want answers from everybody, guys. There's only two options. Either you say inclusive or exclusive. But think about it before asking. There are only 5 people who have asked, 4 people who have responded. I'll wait until I get all the 20 responses, then I'll continue. I have 18 students. Melly have joined twice, Rahana, so which means that there are 16 students. I wanted to wait from all the 16 before I can continue. So how many answers I got so far? I got only 9. So yeah, you got to be little active. I know, you're lazy. Some of them, don't want to come to the computer and type it. Okay, but you have to do it. Or if you're lazy, just say E or I. I means inclusive, E means exclusive. Excluding. Okay. Finally, I got some of the people to get them answered. There's some people who have responded. Still, there are some people who choose not to respond. Okay. Well, let's see. Okay. So actually, um, honestly speaking, it is inclusive of it. Okay. So the Vugen, which is 0.0916, which is inclusive of this one. Okay, inclusive of this one. But Kumar, you said that the wasted time should not be considered. It has nothing to do with the transaction response times. So are we giving the inaccurate response times to our client by including the wasted time as well? Okay, whatever the time that is shown over here, it is inclusive of this wasted time, which should not be there. As the name is suggesting, it is a wasted time. Wasted time by the user. And this wasted time, and since it is inclusive, it is clearly showing that the wasted time is blah blah blah. Since it is an inclusive, it is showing the wasted time is blah blah blah. If it was excluding, it would have never shown, I believe. Okay, I don't think they would have shown it. Okay, but since it is inclusive, they are particularly showing that out of this, the wasted time is blah blah blah, and that's what it is showing. Okay, that's the reason. Now, so now, okay, so are we giving the inaccurate response times to our client? Okay, no. The reason why is, always remember, okay, actual execution happens where, guys? Actual execution happens where? Actual execution happens where you create the load and then you capture the response times. Where does that happen? In which component of LoadRunner it will happen? Okay. Yeah, if you don't want to type the entire thing, just say CON. I'll be able to understand. Okay. So it happens in the controller, guys, and the controller will not capture the wasted time. Okay. There, it's not part of the wasted time. Okay. The response times which is captured by the controller, it does not include the wasted time. Okay. So okay, will not include the wasted time. Okay, the controller okay, will not include the wasted time as part of response times. Okay, there also the logs will be generated. I will show you the logs and all that. Okay, once we get to the controller, clearly I will show you the logs as to what it is. Okay, there you don't have a wasted time. Okay, actual execution happens in the controller and it will not consider the wasted time as a part of that. Okay, so yes, in the Vugen, whether it is including the wasted time or not, it's not of much significance, because wasted time is way too small. So whatever the Vugen shows, it's inclusive of it, so that as a performance tester, you get a ballpark idea how much time it is wasting, how much time you are wasting, for creating the log and all that. So as a Vugen, they wanted to exclusively show it to you. That's why, in the overall duration, they are including the wasted time and also mentioning how much is the wasted time in this particular duration. Okay, but these are not the ones which you actually produce it to your client. Okay, the results coming out of the controller is what you produce it to the client, and those results will not include the wasted time. And those results will not include the wasted time. Okay, is this concept clear to all of you? The wasted time, guys. Is this concept clear to all of you? The wasted time. Yeah, all of you. Okay, sometimes it will be asked in the interviews, guys, so just be prepared for that. And the next thing that I wanted to show is what is the appropriate settings for think time in the RTS. Okay, so Kumar, you went to the log, okay, you went to the runtime settings, okay, and then you went to the think time and you replay back the think time. In the VUgen, the ideal setting is what? Ignore think time. We all know that, because in the VUgen, it's not the actual execution which is happening. It is only for the debugging purposes. And for debugging purposes, you don't want to wait at the think time unnecessarily. So ignore think time is an appropriate settings. Okay. Why it is appropriate? Create 10 scripts. Okay. Play back with the think time. And there are some issues. You will understand how pain in the neck it is to play back the think time all the time. Okay. Sometimes you might have to execute 20 to 30 times before you fix the actual issue. And every time you have to wait for the think time, that too for nothing, it's such a pain in the neck. So you just have to ignore the think time. So you don't want it to play back the think time in the future, because the actual execution is not, however, it's not happening. And the second thing is you might have to execute again and again to debug and troubleshoot the issue. So that's the reason why it's ignored in the region. But the actual execution is happening in the controller, so you wanted to play back the think time, because in the real time there is a think time. So you wanted to include that. So the actual execution is happening in the controller. You wanted to play back the think time. But what is the appropriate settings in this one? The appropriate setting is use random 50 to 100%. Use random 50 to 100%. Why? Because different people have different think times. Okay. Some people have maybe they're quick. They just have 5 seconds of think time. Some people they're not that quick. They're not computer or software related, so they will not be that quick. So they might take 10 seconds and all that. So to emulate all this kind of people, you just say you random percentage between 50% and 100%. Okay, if the recorded think time is 10 seconds, so the actual think time between 5 seconds and 10 seconds, because you said 50% to 100%. What is the recorded think time, guys? What is the recorded think time? 10 seconds. Now you tell me, what will the think time be? The recorded think time is 10 seconds. You said use random percentage of recorded think time. Minimum is 50%, maximum is 100%. So what would be the actual think time, guys? What would be the actual think time that will be played back? Can anybody guess what it would be? Okay. Krishna says 5 seconds. Srivalli says 5 to 10 seconds. Others. Sumati says 10 seconds. Okay. Majid says 5 to 10 seconds. Wonderful. So it will be any time between 5 to 10 seconds, because you said use a random percentage of between 50 to 100%. So 50% of 10 seconds is 5 seconds and 100% is 10 seconds. So it will be any think time between 5 and 10 seconds. If you have any doubts, we'll play back the script now. Okay. Now you see it is playing back the think time. What is the recorded think time? 10 seconds. But what it is playing back? 9.47 seconds. Because it can pick up any random number between 9 and 10. Okay. You see the recorded think time is 10 seconds, but what it is playing? 8.79. Why? Because you said 50% and 100%. Anything between that. Okay. And you see the recorded think time is 10 seconds. How much it is playing back? 6.61. Okay. Then again, recorded is 10 seconds. How much it is playing back? 5.28. So it will pick up any number between 50% and 100%, which is 5 seconds and 10 seconds, and it will play back. You see, 6.28. The recorded think time is 10 seconds. How much it is playing? 5.58. Here it has 6.28. So this is accurate one. Okay. Not all the times it will be 5 seconds. Not all the times it is 10 seconds. Different people will take different times. So you have to emulate the same thing. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Okay. So this is the appropriate setting. What is the appropriate setting? In the script you have 10 seconds, but when you play back it should be a random percentage of the recorded think time between 50 and 100%. Okay, that's what I do for my projects. So it's up to you whether if you like those settings you can do. I've seen some people, they just say replay as recorded. Okay, but this is what these settings will what make your test as close to the real world as possible. And as a performance tester, you take your scenario as close to the real world as possible. Okay? Are we okay, guys? So this is appropriate settings. What is that? Random percentage. Okay? Are we clear, guys? All of you? Are we clear? Hang on 1 second, please. Okay, guys, we'll take a 10 seconds. I mean, sorry, not 10 seconds. I was just talking about in the seconds itself. Okay, we'll take 360 seconds of think time. Okay, I hope you understood what is 360 seconds of think time, guys. Any guesses? Any guesses as to what it is? 360 seconds of think time. Okay, I was just playing around. Yeah, I'll take a 10 minutes break. Okay, thanks Rahana. 10 minutes break. Okay, it's not a random percentage. Yeah, you can give a random percentage of maybe 10 to 20%. Okay, so it will not be exactly 10 minutes, as you know. So the random percentage is probably 20. Uh, I'll say 0 to 20% or minus 22 plus 20%. Okay, which means that 8 to 12 seconds. Okay. I'll take that think time and I'll be back. Then I'll take care of Shraddha's question. Okay? Shraddha, hold on to your question. You remind me after the break. Okay? So this one doubt that I'm getting, guys, did I cover this concept of think time? What is think time and what is the difference between think time and response times? I'm just wondering now. Did I cover this concept as to what the think time is in the class? Yeah? All of you? I want to hear from all of you guys. Yeah, okay. What is a think time? I've covered it, right? Okay. And the difference between think time and response time as well, I covered, I believe. Clearly showing it on the picture. Okay. Because that's a definite interview question. Now I'm getting doubt. I mean, okay. The responses. Okay. Wonderful, guys. So take a think time of 10 seconds, not 10 seconds, 360 seconds. I'll be back. Okay, so are you able to hear me and see the screen? I have resumed the recording. Can we get started, guys, all of you? Okay, so so before the break, we were talking about what is an appropriate setting of the think time in the RTS, or what is that happens in the real world, the real people, how would they put it? I mean, as a performance tester, what is that? What is that you're supposed to put? I mean, that's what. But it's up to you. We have seen that as well, and I've gave you the logical reasoning as to what is why you should do that. Okay, but it's up to you whether how you wanted to do it. Okay, now the script is there in my viewgen, so right now I'm ignoring the think time again. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so I've answered almost all the questions. Okay, but there are certain questions in my question bank from the last week. Okay, or the last class. Let's me quickly look at those. Okay, quickly look at those. Okay, so we already looked at that. Okay, the think time wrapped around the transactions, I have answered that. Okay, so wasted time. Okay, I've looked into that. Okay, so let me start looking into the other things. Okay, today the agenda is to complete this one, and there is one question which our Shraddha is changing. Sorry, not changing, asking. Okay, so the duration will be changed when you take the random settings. Yes, Shraddha, the duration will be changed. And how does it matter? I just wanted to know. Yes, the duration of the script execution time will change. Yes. Okay, if you take the random settings. Okay, yes, it does change because the think time is changing all the time. Yes. Okay, but do remember that the pacing, okay, in the real world, okay, we don't actually consider the actual pacing, okay, because of these issues. Okay, that's the reason why we take n divided by TPS. Okay, if you remember my workload modeling class, this is the reason why I said since the script execution time would change all the time. Okay, so actual pacing, it's a little risky. Okay, so that's the reason why people take n divided by TPS. Okay, which does not include the script execution time. And then in the pacing, in the runtime settings, they will go ahead and use the third option, which is n divided by TPS. Okay, this is the actual pacing. Okay, still, have I answered your question? Actually, we have discussed about this during my workload modeling class as well. Okay, yeah. Now we'll go back and look at the transaction naming standards of the transactions. Okay, so first we'll discuss about the naming standards of the transaction. Okay, when I've named the transactions, I've put the launch transaction here. Just the name is launched, but it's better you follow some naming standards and give a transaction name to it. Okay, but it's better you follow some naming standards and give an appropriate transaction name. Okay, the appropriate transaction name, let's look at that. First is the project name. Okay, then first is the project name. Okay, there's one more concept that I wanted to cover, so let me write it down here. Okay, scripting standards. Okay, so I'll talk about that as well. Okay, yeah, but that may not be for today. I mean, once we start creating the variables, we can talk about that. Okay, but anyways, okay, so first is the project name, then is the script name, then is the transaction number, and finally the transaction name. Okay, this is probably a very good naming standards that you have to use. So by now, probably at this point of time, you might not understand what this actually means, but let's try to implement that so that you know what it is. Okay, first is the project name. This is the WebTools project. Okay, let me put that as WebTools, but in your real-time projects, you definitely know what is the project name, so you put that. So what is the script name? My second script. Okay, so actually in the real world you give a meaningful name to the scripts. Maybe this script would have been, they would have called it as booking flights or something like that. Okay, then the transaction number, this is T01, and the transaction name is the launch transaction. Okay, this is how you give the names for the transactions. First is the project name, underscore the script name, underscore the transaction number, underscore the transaction name. Okay, while executing in the controller, you would understand why this scripting standard, I mean, the naming standards of the transactions is so very important. Maybe at the end of the course, probably I'll be able to tell you why we have to follow such naming standards, okay, and why it is so very important to follow these naming standards. Okay, you'll understand. You'll not understand now at this point of time. Probably you'll understand later. Okay. Okay. Similarly, if you follow with the same naming standards, what would be the transaction name for this? First is the project name, which is again WebTools itself. Okay. Then the script name. What is that? My second script. Okay. Then the transaction number. This is T02. Okay. And then the transaction name. And then the transaction name, which is then the transaction name, which is login. Okay, so appropriately end the transaction as well. Okay, so control space, then give the name. Okay, similarly, you can now tell me what would be, somebody unmute yourself and tell me what would be the transaction name for this one. Okay, somebody can unmute themselves. Okay, and then please tell me what is the first thing. What is the project name?
WebTools.
Okay, somebody is talking. Yeah, okay. WebTools
_ booking flight
_ my second script. Yeah. Okay.
_ T03.
Script name will still be same. We are not adding the action name, but we are adding the script name. Okay. Then
T03.
Wonderful. T03 _ the transaction is click on flight. Okay. Don't get confused with the script name and the transaction name. You just keep including the script name. If you wanted to add one more thing called underscore and the action name, you can add it. Okay. But action name is not that necessary, I feel. Okay. Okay. So let me end the transaction as well. And this one again. Okay. What is that? WebTools. Script name is my second script. And what is the transaction number for this one? Anybody guys? What is the transaction number for this one?
T04.
Wonderful. T04 _ appropriate options. Okay. Why doesn't it give? It is supposed to give. Okay, fine. Let me copy paste it. Wonderful. Okay, so it's all done. So like this, you can continue to give the transaction names for the others as well, which I've ignored at this point of time. But in your assignments, I believe I've given the assignments. In that assignments, you are supposed to give that. Okay, now you can play back. Okay, now you can see the transaction names. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the launch transaction. Here is the launch transaction. It has ended and it has taken 0.169. And this is the login transaction which is apparent from here. And this is the login transaction which is ended with a pass with so and so duration. Okay, so this one. And these things are very important in the project, guys. Naming standards of the transaction. This gives a very good impression to your manager. Okay, if you're following certain standards, right, people will be mightily impressed. Okay, and why these standards are so very important? Okay, this is why these standards are so very important. You totally understand at the later point of time. Okay, you totally understand at the later point of time. Okay, so now, okay, why later point of time? Let me create a report at this point of time and show it to you. Okay, and what it is without the standards and what it is with the standards. Okay, so it will take a little bit of time, but you get a clear understanding as to why this naming standards needs to be followed. Just give me 5 minutes, guys. Just give me 5 minutes. Okay, let me build a report. Okay, a test report. What does it look like? Okay, so one of the important thing that you wanted to see in the test report is the response times. Okay, response times. Okay, let's say your project has 4 scripts or 3 scripts. Okay, they have 3 scripts. Okay, each script. Okay, so each script having how many transactions? Let's assume each script is having 3 transactions. Okay, 3 scripts are there. Each script is having 2 transactions. Let's assume it is having 2 transactions. Okay. Okay. So let's say each script is having 2 transactions. Okay. Each script is having 2 transactions. Okay. So the first script is, let's say, booking flight script. Okay. And the second script is cancel flight script. And the third script is, let's say, register user script. Okay, so these are the 3 scripts you have. This script, how many transactions you have, guys? The first script, how many transactions you have? 2 transactions. Okay. Second script, how many transactions you have? 2 transactions. And the third script, let's say you have 2 transactions. Let's look at the report. How does this final report looks like? Okay. Once you have executed the test, let's say now you tell me when you are executing in the controller, these 3 scripts will be executed at once or it will be executed one after another. First tell me one thing. These 3 scripts will be executed at once or one after another. Somebody please tell me. You're executing in the controller, okay? You're executing in the controller. These 3 scripts, you're putting that in the controller and you're executing, okay? These 3 scripts will be executed at once together, simultaneously, or these 3 scripts will be executed one after another. There's no responses. I thought everybody understood the controller part, okay? Not that I have shown you, but at least, okay, at least you know how the controller works, what is each group and a test scenario. I thought we discussed all that, right? LGs and all that, okay? How the LGs plays a part, and you know what is the groups and all the groups together, we call it as a test scenario, okay? I thought we have covered that, okay? You guys have to, you know, look at, go to the recorded videos and look at it again and again. This is something which where we spend like one whole day understanding that, the workload modeling and this thing. Okay, these 3 scripts will be executed together simultaneously in the controller. Okay, these 3 scripts will be executed simultaneously together in the controller. Do you agree with me, guys, all of you? Or you wanted to go, if you, yeah. Okay, at once. Okay, these 3 things, these 3 scripts will be executed together in the controller. Always remember, it's not one after another. Okay, they will be executed together. Okay, so the final report after 1 hour of test, and typically any test would run for how long, guys? Any test would run for how long in the controller? Okay, in the controller, any test would run for how long? 1 hour. Wonderful. Okay, so 1 hour, these 3 scripts will be executed continuously, simultaneously. They are together executed. Okay, after that 1 hour of test, you will have a report. In that report, you want to look at the response times for all these 6 transactions. 2 transactions belonging to booking flights, 2 transactions belonging to cancel flight, 2 transactions belonging to register user. Okay, now these 2 transactions, which is booking flight, let's say these are the transactions. Okay, click on flight. Okay, click on flight transaction. Okay, click on flight transaction. Okay, and the response times, let's say, is 3 seconds, let's assume. Okay, these are related to booking flight, these 2 transactions. Okay, click on flight, and the second one is payment details. Okay, payment details. Okay, these are the 2 transactions. Okay, for booking flight, we got a response time of 3 seconds, and this one we got a response times of 2.3 seconds. Okay, and for cancel flight, okay, select flight to cancel, let's say that's a transaction name. Okay, and let's say it has taken 1.2 seconds. And the second transaction which is related to cancel flight is flight cancel, or cancel the flight, cancel flight. Okay, and let's say it has taken 5 seconds to cancel it. Okay, I'm just giving the random number. Register user. Okay, sorry, enter details. Okay, enter details. Enter details to register. Okay, maybe let's say it's 0.5 seconds. Submit details. Okay, submit details transaction, let's say it has taken 2.6 seconds. Okay, so we got this report now. This is the final report. Okay, so finally this is the report, and you know, since I have typed it, hang on guys, 1 second please. Okay, so let's look at this, guys. So these two transactions belonging to booking flight, these two transactions belonging to cancel flight, these two transactions belonging to register user. But my final test report coming out of the controller, it will not break it down based on the scripts. It will just it will give you one single report. That's it. It will give you one single report with the transaction name and how much is the response times. Transaction name and how much is the response times. That's about it. But it will not tell you if this transaction belongs to which particular script. Okay, it will just say click on flight 3 seconds, payment details 2.3 seconds, select flight to cancel 1.2 seconds, cancel flight 5 seconds, enter details to register 0.5, submit details 2.6. So at least for these three transactions you are able to figure out what all this to which script these transactions may belong to. But there are certain transactions which are there which you have named it, and by the way these are the names that you have given in the scripts. Okay, the controller will not cook up those names. So whatever the names that you have given in the script, for the transactions, it will give you the transaction name and then the time. Okay, but it is very hard to figure out which transaction belongs to which script. Okay, so this is the reason why. Now what I will do for the same transactions, I will follow the naming standards and see what will happen. The same script will look like this. Okay, the same, not script, but the same report will look like this if I follow the transaction names. If I follow the transaction naming standards. Okay, if I follow the transaction naming standards, the same report will look like that. Now click on flight. If I followed the transaction naming standards, what it will be? First is the project name, which is web tours. Then the script name. Script name you would have given it as booking flight. Okay, so you will give booking flight and the transaction number T01, and then the transaction name, which is click on flight. Okay, click on flight. Okay, so this is what the transaction name look like, which will be 3 seconds. Okay, now for this one again, if you follow the transaction naming standards, I have named it. It will be T02 and it will be payment details. Payment details. Okay, and which will be 2.3 seconds. Okay, so in case if you have followed the naming standards, the same report would look like this. The same report would look like this. Okay. So booking flight, these two transactions belonging to cancel flight. So the script name you would have given it as cancel flight. Okay. Then it will be T01 in that particular script, and that will be select flight to cancel. Okay. And what is the response times? It is 1.2 seconds. Okay. I'm just giving you what would be a report which would look like without the transaction naming standards, and with transaction naming standards, how will the report look like? Okay, this is report without naming standards, transaction naming standards. Okay. Okay, so this is the report, the same thing, the same test report with the transaction naming standards. Okay, with the transaction naming standards. This is with the transaction naming standards. Okay, so okay, so this is what T02. Okay, and then cancel flight, right? This is what is cancel flight transaction. Okay, so which is 5 seconds. Okay, and finally the last two transactions are also there, which is belonging to registered user. So you would have named this transaction like this because this transaction belongs to registered flight. So it's registered flight, yeah, registered script, registered users. Script name will be registered users. Okay, again it will be T01 because that's the first transaction in that particular script, and enter details to register. Okay, and what it is, 0.5 seconds. Oh, sorry, I messed it up. Okay, yeah, this is what it should change. Okay, register user, T01, okay, and what it will be, 0.5 seconds. and the last one, okay, which is submit details, and this belongs to the same register user script. So all of that is good, and this is 202. Okay, this is what, in case if you followed the naming standards, the same report would look like this. The same report would look like this. Okay, so now if you're looking at the report, right away you know this particular transaction belongs to which project, which script, and at what it is appearing. Is this a transaction 1 in that script, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, where it is appearing in the flow, where it is appearing, you would know as well. And then so if there is something like response times are really high, you see for this cancel flight ticket, the response times is high, which you have to pay attention right away. Now okay, the one which is marked in yellow is high, so right away in which project this particular transaction belongs to, in which script this particular transaction belongs to, where it is appearing. It is the first transaction or second or third or fourth, and what is that transaction? Oh, this is for cancelling the flight. So for cancelling the flight, which is the second transaction in the script called cancel flight, is having a high response time, so you right away know it. Nobody needs to tell you, or you need not have to go to the script again, figure out, okay, where is this transaction appearing? Okay, and why it is a problem. Right away, anybody, not only you who have created the script, anybody, maybe your manager who doesn't know anything about the script, have not created the script or anything, they'll be easily able to identify, oh, this particular transaction, which is really high, 5 seconds, it belongs to a project called Web Tours, and your manager might be dealing with a lot of projects, mind you guys. Okay, so belongs to a project called Web Tours. It belongs to a script called cancel flight script, and this is appearing as a second transaction, and this is for cancelling the flight. That's where you are cancelling the flight, and for that the response times is high. So right away he can talk in the meetings or whatever it is. It becomes so easy if you follow the naming standards. So now tell me guys, if you are a performance tester, you would want your report to look like this, which is the option 1, or look like this, which is the option 2. How would you want your report to look like? I'm just asking you. Okay, option 1 without the naming standards, or option 2 with the naming standards. Okay, or if you're a manager, which kind of report you wanted to see? You wanted to see the report like this, wherein it hardly gives you any information. You have to pay really a lot of attention to figure out what is this cancel flight, where it is appearing, what is happening and all that. Or something like this, wherein you right away know, oh, this belongs to blah 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 script, blah 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 project, and it is appearing on the second transaction, and this is what it is. Even you're a developer who wants to fix the problems, this kind of naming standards will give them a lot of clarity as soon as you look at the report. They need not have to refer to anything else. It gives them the complete clarity, saying that in the script cancelling flight, this is the second transaction which is having the issue. So let me see what it is. Okay, so this is why it is so imperative to follow the naming standards. Okay, follow the naming standards. Are we clear, all of you guys? Are we clear? And also give you a ballpark idea as to how the end report looks like. Okay, always remember, if you create multiple scripts, all these scripts eventually needs to be executed in the controller. Executing in the Vuegen is of no use, and in the controller the scripts will be executed together, not one by one, and that too for 1 hour. And once the controller will give you a report, it will put all the transactions together and give you a report. It will not give you a report in the script wise, or you cannot be able to filter it in the script wise. That's the same reason why you have to follow the naming standards while creating the transactions. You're getting an idea, or all this information is way too overwhelming? Because it's for me a lot of typing and all that, but this gives you a very, very clear understanding as to how all the things fall in place. That's and the same things, I'm repeating it multiple times again and again and again and again. Why? Because you get the total clarity. Okay, again and again I'm telling you that these scripts will be executed at once, simultaneously, and the report, how the end report would look like if you don't follow the naming standards, how the end report would look like if you follow the naming standards. Okay, this should give you a complete clarity. I'm guessing, I don't know, but I hope it is giving the clarity rather than confusing you. I don't want you to get confused. Okay, all this additional information is getting confused, guys, or is it okay? I mean, you are able to relate. I just wanted to understand from all of you. Are you able to relate it, or it's too much information which is confusing you all that? I want to hear from all of you guys. Otherwise, I'll just follow the normal flow, and eventually you will get to see all this. Eventually, I mean, at the end point of time. Others, I wanted to hear from all of you guys. This additional information is like overwhelming, or do you think it's useful? If it is breaking your confidence, I don't want to give this information, because as a flow we proceed further. Definitely, these reports and all that, you will be able to see it with your eyes. Okay, but I don't want. Maybe if it's too early, if I'm giving this information, it will break your confidence. Okay, fine. Okay, thank you guys. No, I'll just eventually you will know all this, but just that when I have to give this information is so very important. Okay, if I'm giving it too early, it will break the confidence and say, oh man, this is way too complicated. Okay, but however, at some point of time, I have to show you what is the report and all that. Okay, okay, wonderful guys. So I just wanted to see if there is anything which is there in my question bank. This is like naming standards is done. Okay, now for okay, so we'll wrap it up today. Tomorrow we'll start with these things which are not covered in the question bank. Okay, we'll clear the question bank and we'll proceed further, and we'll look into the other things. Okay guys, so I hope you're still enjoying the class. Okay, you're still following everything which is happening in the class. Okay, especially somebody who's completely new to scripting. Okay, this information could be a little overwhelming, so you just have to stay with me, watch this video again and again, over and over, so that you get the clarity. Okay, touch base with me if you have any questions. I'm available in the evenings, usually my evenings. Okay, I'm available. So, or else now I can stay back and then probably help you out with some points, that you got a little overwhelmed on all that. Okay, and the assignment for today. Okay, assignment for today. Okay, I think you would have created this script. Okay, login, booking flight, log out, cancel flight. Okay, and as per yesterday, you're supposed to create all the transactions as well. I mean, last assignments, you have to create all the transactions as well. Okay, but now follow the naming standards and give the appropriate names to each script. Okay, so create two scripts. Okay, this is what the assignment. Okay, create two scripts. Okay, two separate scripts. Okay, two separate scripts. What are the scripts? One is booking flight, one is cancel flight. Okay, and then make sure all of them have transactions. Wherever is possible, you have to put the transactions. I'm not going to tell you where you have to put, but you have to put the transactions wherever you think is appropriate. Okay, the main things that I will check over here is where are your think times and comments while recording. Okay, these are the two things that I will check. Okay, so the comments and the think time. Okay, so make sure you insert all the transactions, or you insert all the transactions. Okay, insert all the transactions. Okay, wherever you think is appropriate. Okay, for both the scripts, and follow the naming standards. Follow the naming standards. Follow the naming standards for the transactions. Follow the naming standards for the transactions. Here is the assignment for today, guys. Okay, so I'm going to send this running notes to you, or this class notes. You can get the assignment from here. In case if it didn't register in your mind, okay, yeah, your response times are a little slow, you can always go back to the log. What is the log? This is the log. Okay, I'm talking completely in the VueGen language, guys. Okay, so go to my not class notes. It is the log. I'm just kidding, guys. It's just just ignore it. Okay, so yeah, if your response times are low, go to the log. You'll be able to figure out from the log as to what kind of assignments. Again, create two scripts. One script is for booking flights and cancel flights. I'm not going to tell you how many actions should be there, how many transactions should be there, and all that. You have to figure out how many actions should be there, how many transactions should be there, and what are the naming standards you're gonna follow. Okay, on that note, we are done. But if you have any questions, I will stay back and take all your questions. But whatever the questions I could have taken, I believe. Okay, now I'm going to look at the assignment. Somebody has a questions, please let me know. Okay. Any questions? let me see the assignments. Let me see the assignments, guys. Whoever has submitted the assignment, please stay back. Okay. So let me come from the first. Majid is here. I'm sure he has already left. I just saw him going away. Yeah, I just left. Okay. Somebody is trying to speak. I'm not able to hear anything. Guys, somebody is trying to speak, looks like. Go ahead and speak. Okay. So let me see if there is anything any assignments. Okay. No assignments. Yeah, there's only one submission of assignment, which is so so disheartening to see that. Okay. So from the next class, guys, if you are not doing the assignments, I'm not continuing with the class. How many other times I'm telling you the significance of doing that assignments, you're not doing the assignments. I'm telling you, I'm going to take this very seriously. If you're not doing the assignments, I'm not telling you the class. Okay. You have seen how you could have evaluated with the kind of efforts I tell you. Okay. I do that with passion. Okay. The only thing what I want from you is the assignments. And if you're not doing it, okay, I'm not going to continue the classes, guys. I'm telling you seriously. Okay. I'm going to see that for one more time. And yeah, if you're not doing the assignments, it's not, let's not do it. Okay. So Melly, this is what it is. You have missed the transactions for login. Okay. And missed the transactions for our this thing. Okay. Or launch as well. So you're supposed to put those two transactions which you have missed. Okay. You have done the correlation. Okay. Which is good. Okay. But this one has to be replaced, otherwise it will fail. But that's okay. We haven't covered the correlation concept. Okay. Now you put the transactions purposefully. I don't know how, but good. Your think time was not part of the transaction. Wonderful. Okay. This is select flight. This is select departure. Wonderful. Select time. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. And payment details. I really like. And for the complete script as well, for the complete action as well, you have captured the response times, which will give you the complete response times for the whole whole action. Okay. But honestly, it's not required. It's not required. Why? Melly, are you looking at it? Are you looking at it? Melly, can you unmute yourself? Okay. So you see, I think you wanted to be little innovative by adding these transactions, which is so wonderful. Okay. So this transaction, which is book flight, will capture the whole response times for the complete action. Okay. But if you wanted to do that, you really don't have to put that, because you go to runtime settings, Melly. Okay. There is something called preferences. Is it preferences? Miscellaneous. Okay. Can you see that, Melly? Can you read this out for me? Melly, can you unmute yourself and read it out for me? Whatever the experiment that you've done is
which one?
The ones which is checked.
Read which. Define each action as a transaction.
Right. Since you have already defined each action as a transaction, it will consider the whole booking flight as one single transaction. It will give you that response times. So whatever you're capturing in the booking flight, okay, this book flight transaction, whatever is capturing, the Vusion will automatically capture, because unknowingly in your runtime settings you have said that. Define each action as a transaction. So is it only for book flight that it will capture? No. For action called user init, it will capture the whole response times. For the action called login, the whole login, it will capture the response times, because you have defined each action as a transaction. So it will consider the whole login as a transaction. It will give you the response times for that as well. And for same thing for booking flight and login flight and user end. So whatever you are capturing, you are trying to capture, the Vusion will automatically capture it without your knowledge. Okay, it will capture. Okay, are you there with me?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I just wanted to try what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I know. You want to be trying to be a little innovative and you wanted to do it, which I totally appreciate. Okay, but I just wanted you to let you know that it actually is happening internally. Okay, whatever you are trying to do. Okay.
Gotcha.
And also,
thank you.
you missed the transactions for the login. Okay, you're supposed to put it for everywhere.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I actually thought I recorded it in the login, but I'm not sure what happened. Can you check the logouts? Did I record anything in the logout?
Yes, you did. And
Okay, yeah, I have no idea how that happened, but I remember putting something in there, but either way, it's okay. I'll try it again.
and one thing I liked about the script is you cautiously taken the LR think time out of the transactions, which I liked it.
Yeah,
Okay, every single
you mentioned it.
I did mention that. Okay, and one more thing is the think time should be 10 seconds. Okay, that's one thing that you have to be taken care of. Okay, while you're
So
recording,
do I have to manually change it to 30? I mean,
10. You have to change it to 10 manually.
Okay, gotcha.
Or else, while recording in the recording options, okay, in the recording options, you see generate a fixed think time after end transaction of 10 seconds. So once you do that, automatically it is supposed to put the 10 seconds transaction. Okay, where is this options? In the recording option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so recording general. Okay.
In the recording
Gotcha.
options, in the script, okay, in the script, you have this generate fixed think time after end transactions, and what is the value that you're giving? 10 seconds. Now what happens?
Gotcha.
While the recording itself, it will record 10 seconds. It will not record all the random numbers like that.
Okay, got it. Okay, perfect.
So you see, when you do the assignments, it gives me an opportunity to teach you more. Okay, in the class, I never told you that in the recording options, you can go here and then give you 10 seconds. Okay, so there's some things that you have to explore yourself. And now that you have done the assignment, it gave me an opportunity to go ahead and explore one more option, which might not have been covered. I mean, wouldn't have been told to you. Okay, since you have done a mistake, not a mistake, honestly, but there is something which I told you to make your work easier now. Okay, now that you didn't know this option, you have to go to each place and you have to change it to 10 seconds manually. Okay, and if you forget even at one place, which is a mistake. But imagine if you go to the recording options and you have given this, while recording itself, it will record 10 seconds. So which means that it will save a lot of time for you. Okay. And you wouldn't be scared of going ahead and missing something, so you need not have to double check anything because the tool itself will generate that 10 seconds for you. So it's so it's so nice. Don't you think so, Melly?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
And in the runtime settings, Melly, as I've told you, the think time should be replay think time with 50 to 100%. This is one.
Yeah.
But this is something which I've told you today, so I shouldn't find that a mistake with your script because that's the information that I've given you today. So going forward, these are some things which I will not tell you which will not ask you to do it, but I expect that you would do this. Okay, because this is all taught in class. Every script is a final script. Okay, not just what I told you, but there are certain things that you're supposed to do it, and these are the things. Okay.
Definitely. Okay. So like every time you ask us to do an assignment, do you want us to just build up on the original script, or each time do you want us to create a new one? Like, is this going to be at the end of the session? Is it going to be one final script that you're looking for, or how does this work? How do you want it?
I'll give you what a final script would look like. Personally, I'll create and give it to you with the error handling, with all that. Okay, where the think times has to be, how much it has to be, and all that. But every time when I ask you to do it, you record it, and then you start from the scratch. You might have to do the same things again, but that goes into your mind. Okay,
and that's what I want to do.
In the interviews, when they ask about something, you never have to by heart it, or you never have to remember it, because you would have done it so many times. It automatically stays in your mind, and you just go ahead and talk about it. Okay,
definitely.
They might ask you what all the runtime settings that you played around with. They might not ask you, but what all the runtime settings that you played around with. In the class, time and again, I'm talking about run logic, pacing, log, think time. These are the things you never have to remember. I mean, it's just that, you just go ahead and talk about that, because you are using that every day. There are some things, as I proceed further, you will be playing around with other options as well. And then when you practice it time and again, you just go ahead and talk about this in the interview seamlessly without any issues. That's the reason why I'm telling you, create the scripts again and again, record it again and again. Okay, so that goes into your mind, and go ahead and change the settings again and again. Okay.
I got you. I got you. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful, Millie. So glad that at least one of them are doing that assignments. Okay, guys, I really want you to do the assignments, guys. Tomorrow I'll see how many people will submit the assignments, and only then I'll take the class forward. So if you haven't submitted the assignments, even imagine that the class would be cancelled as well. Okay, so okay, the more classes that will be cancelled, the batch will run longer. Okay, and then everybody will be at loss. You will be at loss, I'll be at loss, because you wanted to learn quickly and implement this in the projects, and I wanted to finish it off not ASAP but sooner, so that I can start the next batch. But without you practicing, there is no point. Again, I'm telling you, without you practicing, there is no point. I want you to submit the assignments. Whether it is good, bad, you tried, you didn't get it, submit it. After the class, I'm there to help you out. I'm telling you, I wanted to spend half an hour with you. I'm ready to spend. I'll share your screen with me, and I'm willing to do that. Okay, but the efforts has to be from your side. There's no way we can continue like this, the class. Okay, so you do the assignments, you have the next class. Otherwise, no, guys. On that note, I'm wrapping it up. Thank you so much.